Apparently, there's another takeover that's happening, and it's the NFL continuing their takeover. And the takeover is holiday and holiday action when there happens to be another league who's had that holiday all to themselves for several years now. So much so that Jason Kelce was on his New Heights podcast talking about how he's a fan of the NFL playing on Christmas and on these major holidays, and had this to say.
Now, I'm also just a fan of playing on more primetime times. Like, that's when I'm watching TV, and I like it when football's on the television. So let's keep putting good football games on television when everybody's watching. I mean, I think it's just good for the game. Let's keep taking over all the holidays. We're taking over Thanksgiving, Christmas, NBA. You're never getting that back. I mean, it's the way it is.
And he's 100% correct.
He ain't lying.
They're never getting it back.
Yeah, he's not lying.
Like, once the NFL realized, oh, wait, like, this is doable. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take that too. And then it, became one game and two games and three. And it's just, this is where we are. And I don't know what the plan would be for the NBA, but if you're the NFL, and by the way, for those of you wondering, well, it's just because Christmas falls on certain days of the week. No, it's over. Because Christmas is a Thursday this year, a Friday the year after, a Saturday after that, a Sunday. It's going to be a long-ass time before anybody can make the argument that, well, depending on the day of the week it falls, it's not great for the schedule and the players. The NFL is going to take this over, and it's going to be theirs moving forward.
I mean, what else is there to say? Kelce nailed it, and I think you put a bow on it. If it's good football, and listen, I look at it like this. During the holiday season, the one thing that you get yourself set for during Christmas time, pre-Christmas, post-Christmas, and New Year is college football. So if we're being honest, I don't think about the NBA on Christmas. Maybe Christmas Day, you're right. But I don't think about the NBA. I think about college football, and I think about bowl games. And now that you had the playoff, it now makes it even more intensified getting into that corridor of the year coming to an end and rounding it out by having, Christmas and then New Year's. So if you're putting on a quality football game from the National Football League, and that's on Christmas Day, hell, if you put 2-3 games on Christmas Day that are quality matchups of the National Football League, I can guarantee that you're going to have a tremendously large viewing audience of those games that are taking place.
Totally agree. Yeah, I look at it and I go, if you're the NBA, I mean, what do you do?
You just keep trying to chuck along, chuck them up like Karl Anthony Towns and hope something goes in.
It just, for example, the Christmas schedule for the NFL coming up this year, Cowboys, Commanders, Lions, Vikings, Broncos, Chiefs. Like, all of those are compelling matchups.
I watch all three
every
of those
single
over
one.
Anything else.
Every single one.
There would have to be a dope-ass bowl game on, and that game I would even be switching in and out to all the games depending on what the times that are playing.
And I'll be honest with you, who do you think the two worst teams in the NFL are going to be this year? Like, if you had to right now guess.
The Saints.
Yeah.
And maybe the Browns.
Okay. If the Saints and the Browns are playing on Christmas, are you watching that or an NBA game? I'm watching the NFL game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't know. It depends on
really.
Give me the matchup of the NBA game. If you give me the matchup of the NBA game, then give me best case scenario.
I mean, look. I mean, if you wanted, best case scenario, maybe it would be a Thunder Celtics matchup. Or no, I mean, Tatum's going to be out for the majority of the year. So let's say Thunder Pacers NBA Finals rematch. I'm watching
That's
Saints
the rematch.
I'm watching Saints Browns.
I'm watching the Saints Browns. It sounds more interesting. It sounds more intriguing. What's at stake in December for the NBA, for them NBA games?
Nothing.
What's at stake? I mean, we're heading into June. You know what I mean? Like, we're heading into June, and basketball NBA season is still going. I don't see there being enough importance to I don't believe the NBA has a player right now, or players outside of you being a avid NBA fan, an avid sports fan. I do not believe the NBA has the type of player that can drive the viewership the way that you've had it in decades past.
So generations
past.
Let me paint this scenario for you. All right, just imagine the NBA, to counter program, does that rematch of the NBA Finals, and it is Pacers and Thunder. And the NFL, this is just pure example, this is not the matchup, but this is the worst, if you had to pick the two worst teams in the league, and the NFL rolls out Tyler Shuck versus Dylan Gabriel, and would do better numbers than the NBA showing a rematch of the finals.
But I think it classically comes back to the way the popularity has been grown and the way the popularity has been built.
100%.
The National Football League has always made it a point to make the Shield the most important branding that takes place. Not to mention, guys wear helmets. So you can look at a matchup, but you'll ultimately find the reasons why that is an intriguing matchup, even if it's two trash teams. And it's also because the NFL doesn't play nearly as many games as the NBA. So it's almost these days, which is one of the best things that the NFL could have ever done, is these days they've made every game matter more. And they're continuing to figure out ways to reward the teams that take every single game and every single week, take it seriously. Like, you're not sitting there like, well, there's more games to be played. We will be fine. It's almost taking on the same type of characteristics in some ways in regard as college football. And that's the reason why we love college football so much, historically speaking, of course, is that you couldn't lose. If you lost, that meant that your season was in jeopardy after one loss. Now you can lose one, maybe even two games, and get into the college football playoff, and who knows what happens there. We had a 2-loss team win the championship this year, correct?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think that there's a level of intensity, and the Shield does an excellent job of creating this intensity and passion for consumption of the talent that's going out there on the days that they're playing. And you're right. You only get so much time with the game. Like, people be going through, and I'm one of them. We be going through like postseason, like fallout, like withdrawal. Like, I love the fact that the players get an opportunity to play in the UFL and try to make it into the NFL. It does not quench my thirst for football, NFL, college. It does not. It still feels like there is a departure from what life should be like when football season is not here. And to have been able to create that type of buy-in from a consumer, man, that's an ultimate product, and it's very hard. It's very hard to fight your way back from that type of established fandom and viewership and buy-in to a particular league, a particular sport.
So there's this old saying that nobody cares about your fantasy football team. Like, it just in general, when people start complaining about their fantasy football team, it's like, man, nobody cares. I don't want to hear about your fantasy team. You know who does care about your fantasy team? The NFL. Because I think fantasy football is as much to do with this as anything. Because it's basically gambling. And it was the show before the gambling show started was fantasy football. So that was sort of your appetizer to get you into what gambling could look like in the NFL. these games late in the season like that on a Christmas, you could look at a Saints-Browns matchup. Just for example, that's not going to be the matchup because the NFL realizes those teams are terrible. That's why New Orleans and Cleveland don't have a primetime game. But you could set that game up, and there's going to be an audience because somebody's going to have a player from one of those teams on their fantasy team. Somebody's going to have money invested in it. They've just done more to make the sport presentable and interesting to people, even if they don't have a team. And we've talked about this before. You and I grew up, it was like you had to have a team. Who's your team? And now, and you've made the point, because of fantasy football, it isn't about that. Your team is your fantasy team. Yeah. Like listen, that's cool. You know, so-and-so plays for this team. Like, he's not on my team. That's what's important. And I think the NFL recognized that, and the NFL's taken advantage of that. And I think fantasy football and gambling is the biggest reason why they've could just continued to take over, because you could put any matchup you wanted on and counter the NBA's matchup, whatever it is, whatever interesting storyline the NBA thinks they have, more people are going to watch the NFL because the NFL's done a better job of making their product and their league presentable and interesting to the consumer, and that's why they've seen the spike in the numbers.
And there's nothing you can do about it. You don't have a Michael Jordan that can combat a Walter Payton. You don't have a Shaquille O'Neal that can combat a Ray Lewis. You don't have a Kobe Bryant that can combat a Peyton Manning. You don't. You don't have the star power, and that's no shade. I promise that's no shade towards the SGAs or the Anthony Edwards in the league, the Jason Tatums or whoever else you have as the Giannis or the Jokic's. It's no shade. I promise. They just don't have the draw that a Shaquille O'Neal had. You had an opportunity with Shaq. You had an opportunity with Kobe. You had an opportunity with MJ and Scottie Pippen and even the mailman, like by market, Magic Johnson. You had the opportunities to have a captive audience and a large, tremendously passionate viewing audience when you develop those brands. But you're at the risk of having strong branded players in the NBA versus a strong brand, the Shield, that continues to prove that even if Peyton Manning leaves, even if Tom Brady leaves, even if any of the best players that play in the National Football League retire and are done, this league just continues to grow more and more and more, and they're finding more ways to expand, and they build that off of the brand of the Shield. And that might have been the best asset created by the NFL owners and what we've watched Paul Tagliabue start and have watched Roger Goodell continue to grow and build. Yeah. They have created something so strong that they continue to widen the gap between other sports, at least domestically.
And also, to your point on Goodell, I don't think he gets enough credit because a lot of it's the cool thing to do, boo the commissioner. Like the cool thing to do is boo the commissioner. When Gary Bettman comes out on the ice, they boo him in the NHL. Like Rob Manfred gets booed. I mean, he said some dumb things before in the past, but that's the cool thing. Goodell gets booed, all that stuff. The one thing you can be critical of, maybe the way he handled punishments and the NFL having too much say when it came to off-field crimes, and there was obviously the mismanagement of the Ray Rice video and what happened afterwards. All of that is fair criticism. He did not do a great job, but from a business standpoint, he's hit it out of the park. Like, from a business standpoint, there's a reason why the owners reelect him every single time, because he has had an eye to that, to your point, and he has recognized there's an ability to grow the game and to cater to an audience that if we do that, we will far surpass any other quote-unquote competition that's out there, and I think that's what's happened, and he deserves a lot of that credit as well.